Hello to everyone. Good evening, or even I could say almost good night, because now is 9:25 p.m. And I've decided to record this speaking practice video today at this evening time. Because truth to be told, I've been missing, or even I've been skipping or delaying speaking practice videos for whole previous week, and I even took an additional extra 1 week of English in order to record enough hours of speaking practice in English. Yes, in order to just simply do not left this part of language learning aside. Yes, just in order not to uh, miss it or skip it. You got the point. I think you got the point. Sorry, as I said, I haven't been talking I think in 2 weeks in English, so my skills might be a little bit rusty now. But I've been listening a lot of English books. I mostly do listening all this time because it was just so much interesting that it consumed me all. I've been reading and I've read and listened 4 Harry Potter's book. Not in 1 week, of course, somewhere in 1 month, I think, but the listening consumed me so much that I simply sometimes forget, sometimes don't have a really strong desire to record a speaking practice when I've been interested in what's going to happen next. What's going to happen next? Let's better to read or listen another chapter than invest 1 hour in speaking practice. As this is how I thought about it, but of course it's not the completely right approach. I could even say it's not right approach at all. Of course, it's very good that I'm so keen on listening and reading right now in English, that I'm unlocked this ability for myself to read, listen, and understand almost everything in English literature. But speaking remains one of the important skills in language proficiency. Yes, in simply language learning, because this is the same. Is it the speaking part as much important as reading part, as much important as writing part? Yes. So it's very good that I'm already able to read fluently and listen fluently, but I also need to invest time in writing and speaking in order to be able also speak fluently and write fluently. That's actually is my goal now. My goal in English learning, at least, to improve myself now. I think I'm somewhere now uh, in the middle of B2 level of English, but not quite very solid B2. I think I want to fasten to enhance my B2 to the very strong level, to the very strong B2. And after B2, I want to move to the fluency. I mean, I'm not talking about C1, C2, because I consider that these two levels of language only achievable when you are moving to the English speaking country, or start connecting, start talking, writing, and using language, I mean English, on a daily basis. Yes, like a person who live in an English speaking country. Only then, in my opinion, you can move to the further level of English to C1 to C1, C2. But when you, as I am now, can't, can't move to the English speaking country, and it's not even a possibility right now. So for me, I'm not pursuing these levels. But I can improve my English skills to the strong B2, to the fluency, just by simply keeping practicing different type of practices at home, like reading, speaking, uh, writing, and grammar learning. If I keep it at the same amount of exercising as I've been doing it for 2.5 years, I think in the end of the next year, I will be able to fasten, to enhance, and to make myself to very strong, very sufficient, very stable and balanced B2 level of English, and even become very close to fluency. And that's absolutely reachable for me now, and that's why I consider it the next goal in English learning. And when I would achieve it, um, no, when I will achieve it, yes, I'm sure about that. When I will achieve it, I think I'm not gonna move further to C1, C2. I'm gonna continue polishing my B2 level of English to fluency. Of course, I will be continue studying grammar. I will be continue working with English file books. I will be reading a lot of books, continue reading a lot of books, and continue recording these types of speaking practice videos. And also will be working with my writing practice. As you might notice, I also add a column on my channel with the writing practice videos, and I will continue doing it all. Um, but I'm not aiming to C1 right now because, as I said, I consider that it is possible only when you fully move to English speaking environment. Right now, it's much more better and much more realistic to keep all attention to achieving the things that is absolutely possible and real. And why I even been talking about that, I don't really know. I just, because of the fact that I, as I said, didn't record speaking practice video for a very long time. I've just been talking. Yes, probably I even miss it a little. Yes, just recording my thoughts on the microphone and posting it on YouTube after 2 weeks of, let's say it, pause from it. And now I think we can start answer the questions from ChatGPT. And yes, simply start answer the questions of ChatGPT and continue this speaking practice video. So, as a question number one, when you start a new project or goal, what factors usually determine how quickly you make progress? Mm, difficult to say. If we're talking about projects, about working projects, you usually have a deadline, and you know, you might set up this deadline for you. Someone might set up this deadline for you. So you simply don't have much choice. You just do your job, do it consistently, uh, paying attention, and eventually you finish um, the project. Yes, I don't even know what to add to this point. It's just how it works. But what about personal goals? And what factors usually determine how quickly you make progress? Um, it's quite, I can say it's quite not controversial, but um, how to say, I know this word in English. I surely know this word. Um, is it 1 minute? I need to Google it. This word is it's discussable. Yes, but that's a not precise word. It's not the precise word. Discussable meaning debatable. Discussable synonyms. Let's find out. Arguable, disputable, flexible, questionable, controversial. Probably controversial, yes. But that's not the right word. Okay, someday I will remember this word or meet it again somewhere in the text or video. So it's a controversial, it's a absolutely discussable question with different approaches because when you set up goals for yourself, you are the one who you are the one in control. You are the one who manage yourself. You are the one who watching over yourself. So it's very easily to slip away from your own grip and do other things. Yes, more pleasant things than working on your goal. And as a person who set up a very long-term goals, as learning English, achieving fluency B2, as uh, learning Polish, achieving B1, and as changing main profession. I mean, from 2D animation to 3D animation, it's a very long-term goals, and I'm already have been working on it for, as I said, 2.5 years, and I very precisely understand what does it mean when you give yourself a slack, when you can't discipline, when you can't manage yourself properly, when you simply refuse to do the important things because there is some more pleasurable things on the horizon. And uh, actually, the first factor that affects how quickly you make progress, it's your determination and your ability to manage yourself properly. Because on a job, when you attend in the office, when you're working in a team, you have a work schedule. You have working hours, you have rest hours, you change in place. I mean, in an office, you're fully concentrating on work. At home, you're fully concentrating on rest. But when you're working on your own goals, you need to, you don't have this system created for yourself in advance. You need to be the one who will create the system for yourself and the system that will work sufficiently enough to allow you to progress. Not very fast, but at least gradually. And it's not always easy to create this type of system because one day you can be very productive and convicted to do something and everything goes very easy. But next day you feel exhausted and you need a rest, and there is no one except you to force you to job and deny your rest. So it's very easy to slip from your created system and just simply postpone your progress. And what I've been talking about that very important to create a system, the system that will include working hours, resting hours, and keep you in balance, keep you well rested, and give you the time and opportunities to do what you need to do. Um, for example, today I've been waking up at 12 o'clock. Yes, 12 o'clock in the midday. Usually I wake up at 8 o'clock, even more preferably at 7 o'clock. But sometimes I have days like this when I'm don't feel in myself very good. Yes, and so I've decided that I give myself a little slack, but I will keep some routines stable. Yes, not on a very efficient way of doing, but stable. So I did even 2 hours of 3D animation. I did 2 hours of English learning, and now I'm recording a speaking practice video so that we can count as a third hour of English learning. So basically, I have today, in a whole day, I've been doing things for 5 hours. Not very productive, not very efficient time spending, but because of course I can do more, I can do 8, 10 hours. Yes, because it's how normal working day looks like. But because I gave myself a little slack because of my self feelings, I haven't been very productive today, but I still make a progress. But I still did something. Yes, I still have these hours of investments in studying, and these hours have a tendency to accumulate during the time. So I'm not wasted the day today. However, I could easily do it. I could easily waste today. Simple as that. Just by saying no, I don't feel in myself good. I'm gonna play video games all day. But it's not the first time. Yes, it's not the first day of studying and practicing. So I know how my body reacts. I know how my mind works. I know how I'm gonna feel myself if I invest all day in play video games. I will feel at the beginning I will feel myself relaxed, but at the end of the day I will be feeling myself uh, absolutely devastated because I didn't invest it any minute in doing very important things for myself. So, how I managed this situation? It's not actually I've already moved straight from the question, but it's just a speaking practice. Yes, there is no examinator. I don't need to keep strict time limits in answers. I can talk as much as I want to, as long as I want to. And let's continue. So how I manage the situation? I give myself a slack. I give myself ability to rest, but still I invested some hours in important things, and that's how I rested. As I said, that's how I managed to rest and managed to progress at the same time. It's not the ideal day, of course, but still it's not a wasted day. And there is a lot of these simple factors. There is a lot of these things, yes, subtle things in managing yourself that affect the quickness of your progress. And there is a lot of mind tricks, there is a lot of understanding, there is a lot of work, inside work, yes, with yourself in order to manage yourself, in order to sometimes push yourself to do something, because not always your mind want to dig up in something difficult and do something that requires a lot of focus and learning and studying in order to simply to catch a glimpse of of skill. Yes, let's talk it. Let's say it in this way: a glimpse of skill. And you need to know how to work with yourself. Yes, that's you need to. Yes, let's make the conclusion of everything what I've been saying. In order to The two factors usually determine how quickly you make progress, or determine even make you progress or not in a whole. The first one is how you able to manage yourself and how much work hours, studying hours, practice hours you invest in the subject. And the second one is have you the opportunity, have you the free time and possibilities, have you the devices to that will allow you to study, to practice the skill, the thing that you need to practice, or at least do you have the instruments according to do you have the instruments that will allow you to moving towards your goal? If you don't, if you can manage yourself and if you have instruments to do what you need to do, there is nothing else that can stop you from studying, from practicing, from moving towards your goal. In my case, it's I need computer and internet. If I have computer and internet and electricity, of course, food, place where to work, and etc., etc. If I have the conditions that can allow me to practice and study what I want to, and if I have enough self-management and discipline, and if I have a very good plan of study, if I have a very consistent and sufficient plan of the day of what I'm going to study, there is nothing that can stop me from it. At least I will feel myself not very good. Yes, at least something like that. The problems with health can stop. But if you feel yourself normal, you have the resources, you have the things that you need to do that will allow you to do what you need to do, and you have time and and you have time, you just simply do it. Yes. So basically, three factors that affects your progress in achieving goals: uh, the instruments that will allow you to do it. In instruments, we can put everything, even the environment, everything. Yeah, just will allow you to do what you need to do, as a computer, for example. Then your ability to manage yourself. So you need still to sit down and do what you need to do. So you need to manage yourself to do into doing it. And the third one is your own health. Yes, you need to feel yourself absolutely normal in order to execute what you need to execute. And this is my answer on this question. The next one. Do you think people today rely too much on technology when making decisions, or does it actually help them to think more clearly? Again, and do you think people today rely too much on technology when making decisions, or does it actually help them think more clearly? Hard to say. Hard to say. Um, in my experience, ChatGPT, we can count ChatGPT as a technology, as a technology tool, and even now I'm using ChatGPT when answering on these questions because ChatGPT generated them for me. Um, do ChatGPT can make decision makings easier? I think yes, because ChatGPT can give you the information, give you the analytics, can value, can how to say it, can assess if you ask him, of course, everything that you want. So you can simply to think through ChatGPT. You can give him your statement or your situation and ask him for analysis, and he will do analysis, and you can read this analysis, and you can work with it. You can simply to yes, it's like an information box that you can use to store and write some things that is hard to um, analyze, just simply putting in your head. Yes, like you've been writing something on the list of paper and think about it. The same you will write into ChatGPT, but ChatGPT also will give you his point of view, not his actual point of view, but different angles in analytics. So it will help you to see the different angles of the situation, and it might give you more information, the information that you um, failed to see by yourself, and it will help you to take the decision eventually. Yes, because just by simply giving you more information and give you the deep analysis of the situation, that's how it might help. On the other hand, if decision makings, if you will distract yourself from assessing the situation, from assessing the making decision by technology, it's very easy to do. You can play video games, watch YouTube, just simply distract yourself as you can from analyzing the situation, analyzing the decision making. Yes, in this case, it might, it not might, in this case, it factually um, obviously hinder you in thinking clearly. Yes, so it all depends on how you use tools. Yes, if you use tools for help yourself, it will help. If you use tools to distract yourself, it will distract you. Simple as that. The next question. In your opinion, what are the main advantages and disadvantages of living in a very busy city compared to a quieter place? Um, dif- very controversial question because there is advantages and disadvantages in two places. Uh, Quieter place can provide you with, as it called itself, with quiet. Yes, obviously, with quiet and some kind of, I don't know, more nature probably, and quietness, more nature, and maybe a little bit more comfort if you are prefer to live in your own house, for example. But it has lack of places where to go. Um, it has lack of advantages that big city can provide. I mean, restaurants, a lot of places where to go, a lot of public services. Um, just simply much more work opportunities and etc etc, things like that, things that a big city can provide. You might even haven't a hospital in this quieter place, and in order to see the doctor you would need to go to the city, to the nearest city, nearest town, I mean, and that's not very convenient sometimes. But on the other hand, the disadvantages of living in a very busy city, it's constant noise, uh, less nature, much more less nature, smaller spaces, and crowded, hectic environment. Yes. So actually, it's always to choose the most balanced, the most appropriate and suitable variant for you. If you don't like very busy cities, I think you can always, but you need the city structure. You need the things that city contains. I mean, like for social living, you can choose just a smaller city. Yeah, the smaller city with less amount of people in there, with more quiet rhythm of living, and it would be quite balanced choice. Yes. In my case, I don't like very busy city, but I also don't prefer to live in the village, for example, or on outskirts of the city. So I usually looking for a work Well, let's say just in my case, I would look to uh, move to not very hectic, but a little bit smaller and quieter city with very improved um, with the nature, yes, with good situations, with parks, with enough green things in the city like trees and etc. etc. Yes, you always can find an absolutely suitable, balanced variant for you. No need to rush to extremes. Never need to rush to extremes. That's my approach. Can you describe a situation when changing your routine brought you unexpected benefits? I can't say that benefits were unexpected when I've been changing my whole life, I could say, whole approach to life, to living, to way of thinking. I expected the positive benefits and I actually got positive benefits. Not all positive benefits I predicted, but answering this question, uh, can I describe it? I don't really want to because it's a private things, very deep things that I'm not actually very want to share on social media, even if I am only one who rewatching this type of speaking practice videos. But still, I don't think that I want to discuss it. It's not a secret, of course. But it's I don't know. I don't even to talk about it with friends. Yes. Why would I? Why would I want to share these private moments just for just for? Yes. I have the experience. I have the situation when changing my routine brought me unexpected benefits. But I can say that most of the time these unexpected benefits bind to the way of seeing line, by bind to the way of how outlook on things changed and how you feel more self-belief and understanding that you can do what you planned long ago. You can achieve your goal eventually. You have the possibility at least. You're not how to say it? Um you're not hopeless. Yes. You're improving. Probably not very fast. Probably someone improved faster than you, but you're still moving. You see the progress, and it means that you are moving on. And if you're moving on, eventually you move to somewhere. And that is my unexpected benefit. The understanding that, mm, at least one of them, yes, the understanding that if I move on, I eventually come somewhere. It's inevitable. I just need to continue move on. Yes. Very logical and obvious understanding, but for me, it wasn't very obvious 2 years ago. I could even say that when I started studying English, I I don't have much belief whatsoever or hope. I just been doing it because I don't have any other choice. I don't have any other option. Um, but now I understand that I'm progressing and progress is visible and eventually, if I will continue, one day I will get to the point where I want to be, get to the proficiency, what I want to wield. I just need to continue. And now it brings me much more, much more belief. Yes, belief. The next question. Some people say the personal growth happens mainly through challenges. Do you agree? Or do you think stability can also help a person develop? Mm, difficult for me to answer because in my case, unfortunately, I always learn from the unpleasant experiences, tough things, unpleasant things. And it's not like I did the mistake and I become better after that. No, I did a mistake, I got burnt, I'm in pain, and this pain actually triggers this process of thinking why I did it, how it come to that, and I'm not gonna repeat it, and I need to improve. Actually, things like that triggers this process of developing. It's not the very best approach. I think I don't like this approach as well because it's not very pleasant. I mean, when you in pain, when you burned to work on yourself. I would prefer just more. I would prefer. I would prefer as question assume stable way to approach a person development. Like now, for example, when I'm studying English, gradually every day, not every day, actually every day, but I'm taking pauses. For example, as I already said, 1 week English, 1 week Polish, 2 week English, 1 week Polish. So not every day, but consistently. And this is a way how I develop myself stably, gradually. I prefer this way much more, and I think this way much more safer and pleasurable than developing from the stress, developing from the pains. This is my approach, yes. And that's exactly what I want to change about my life. I want to manage my developing gradually. I don't want to get into troubles, get burned, and then force myself to improve from it. I want to improve myself steadily, steadily, manageably, and gradually from everyday consistent practicing of something, from everyday working on myself, not from scars, but from consistent, uh, gradual developing. Yes, consistent gradual developing and improving. Yes. Okay. The next. How important is it for you to be surrounded by people who share similar values? And what happens when they don't? Um, Values. If talk about values, it's not just important, it's crucial. I can't be with people who don't share the same values as I am because it would be simply contradictable and it wouldn't bring any positives from it. So I can answer it very simply that I can't surround myself and I would prefer be alone than surround myself with the people with whom I have contradictions in the values. It's not gonna work. But if I can surround myself by people who share the similar values, the same, sorry, I can surround myself by people who share the same values, who share the same virtues and outlook on the world. Uh, but I can accept the differences in. Yes, again, I can accept the difference in outlook, and I can accept the difference in. How to say it? Yes, the difference in outlook, the difference view on different things. I mean, we all people, We all have different opinions. We all have a unique way to approach things. We have all unique thoughts and sometimes even the way of thinking, and it's absolutely normal. So for me, it's very important that the person will have the same virtues as I am, and I can put up with differences in outlook. I can even discuss. I can even debate. I can, you know, discuss it with other person. I can discuss different outlooks. I can how to say it? Yes, debate. I'm not against debate, but I'm against the misalignment in core core values, in core uh, virtues. I don't think there is a lot of virtues actually in a person that might be. Usually they are all the same and they are all very similar. If the person have a luck of at least of one of them, I'm not gonna be surrounded by they. Not gonna. It's not gonna work. But the different outlooks might be debatable. Yes, it even makes the connection much more interesting if you have the different outlook on the things. It gives you the opportunity to talk about it, to share different perspectives, different opinions. It's always interesting. But the core values need to be aligned very strictly. That's my approach. Do you think long term goals are more motivating than short term ones? Or does it depend on the person? Truth be told, I think, of course, I think short term ones much more motivating and much more appealing to the every person. And it's not about the way of thinking, um, it's not the question of thinking, it's a question of how your mind work instinctively. I mean, for example, the short term ones with short term short term ones with short term gratification. For example, you're hungry, you feel the pull to cook something for yourself. Let's say this is a goal for you to cook food for yourself. You make the food for yourself in, let's say, 3 hours. Then you eat it. You gratified yourself. You cooked very well. You put effort. You find the recipe. You mix it all correctly. And now you're eating very delicious, very pleasurable food and you enjoy the moment. So you have the goal, you did the action, you get the gratification almost instantly, like 3 hours. It's not a time. Yes, and in this case, your mind didn't have a fatigue you. Your mind um, didn't struggle too much. I mean, it was just 3 hours of effort and then result. Yes, it's absolutely acceptable. It's a very logical very logical way to think. But let's compare it to, for example, English learning. Yes, in order to achieve at least um, I don't know how much you need to achieve fluent level of English, but I have an experience that I've achieved B1 level of English in approximately 2 years, maybe a little bit earlier. Let's say, and approximately uh, more than a year and a half in constant studying without a visible progress. So just simply compare the how your mind would consider the thing. On one hand, your mind have one example, short term. You hungry, you cook food, you eat food, you're happy. On the next one, English learning. You need to learn English. You start learning English, and you've been fucking learning English for 1 year, and you don't have much significant result. You have results, but they are not sufficient enough yet. So you've invested 1 year in studying, and don't get your fucking meal so delicious as you expect it to be. You need to invest another year in cooking this meal in order to taste it. and mind and your mind experience a very strong fatigue, a very strong misalignment. Because on the other hand, 3 hours and you're happy, you get the results. On the other hand, 2 years of studying and result even not uh, 2 years of studying and result uh, even not feasible at the beginning. So it's like you need it's like mind see it very simple. It's on instinctive level, on the basic level of operating. He sees I need to cook one meal 3 hours and I will be happy. I got feeded from it. Or I can cook meal 2 years and I don't even know would be and I don't even sure that this meal would be delicious. So it's much more easier for your mind to choose the short-term ones. It's not even easier, it's absolutely logical approach. Yes, less efforts, less energy, the guaranteed fast result. Then a lot of energy, a lot of struggles, and result even not guaranteed. A result guaranteed, but you can't be sure that you get the desirable result. Yes, probably you would need to invest another year and another year and another year, and mind always struggling with things like that. So, if we talk about motivation in a raw form as it is, of course, short term ones much more pleasurable and motivational for your mind, but um, I can say long term ones are important. Long term ones is essential, and you can't, throw them away. You need to have long term ones. For example, I need to change the profession. I need to get the fluency in languages. I want to. I need to, and I want to. I'm interested in it, and it's all long term. And I can't just simply no, like I can't brute force it. I can't speed it. It's a long process of studying and training that requires time and efforts, and you can't speed it up. Yes, you can't get the short result from it. So you need to negotiate with your mind all the time. Negotiate all the time in order to put efforts in things that you can get results from. That you can get results after years of practicing. But these results are very delicious and desirable. So you can negotiate your mind in it. Yes, you can explain to it that this is really what I want. That's why we need put effort in it, even if it very long term goals. It's not dependent on the person. I think I believe, and I believe, and I'm 99%, 99% sure that that's how most of persons operate. All people like short term ones, but at the same time, the really important, the really difficult and complicated things are always long term. So you need to negotiate with your mind all the time. Okay, next question. And describe a time when you had to adjust your expectations about something. What led you to that change? Describe a time when you had to adjust your expectations about something. What led you to that change? Um, I I don't. Mm, I think I answer on this question in a little bit more different way. I mean, I'm not actually keen on expectations at all. In the past, of course, I've been imagining myself different things. I've been imagining the idealistic pictures, depictions of things that I want to achieve, that I want to have. But now I'm much more prone. I'm much more no. Now I'm much more keener on not on imagining, but on seeing the things how it is. I took much more pleasure to living in the reality than imagining something and living in my expectation and living to my expectations. It makes life much more real, much more tangible, much more, much more corporeal. Corporeal. What does it mean? I don't know why I know this word, but let's try corporeal. Probably yes, yes. It make life much more tangible and much more realistic, and your and pleasantries that you took from this reality, they are much more stronger than pleasantries from your expectations or from your imagination. Still, reality is superior, and I prefer simply live to reality and do not have expectations, or at least have them as much grounded as possible. What led me to that change? I think I don't know. Probably growing up, probably growing over myself, probably simply considering and pondering about life and about myself, about everything in general. I don't know. I just came to the conclusion that reality much more superior than imagination and much more pleasurable at times. How do you usually decide whether a piece of advice is worth following? It depends. It depends on the situation because sometimes you need to advise from a more skilled professional. Yes, almost like advice from the teacher in your working field. Yes, these advices are usually priceless, and sometimes you even absolutely ready to pay for these advices, to pay money in order to be taught from a more skilled person. But sometimes advices might be like, advices from the people you don't really know, or the people that don't really have um, understanding what they're talking about. Yes? Sometimes advice is just absolutely necessary and worth nothing, but sometimes they are worthless. It depends on the situation and on the person. This is my answer. And the last question for today, the last question in today's speaking practice video is: do I think people should focus more on improving again? Do you think people should focus more on improving their weaknesses or developing their strength? Why? Do you think people should focus more on improving their weaknesses or developing their strength? Why? It's a question. It's a little bit motivational fast food question, I think, and I'm not really want to pondering about it. I don't really want to think about it a lot. But let's say that it's always better to play to your strength. Not about developing or something like that. Usually when you need to develop something, you just work on it. You don't thinking about weakness, strength, doesn't matter. You have the subject, you have the skill, you have the proficiently, and you simply train yourself, practice yourself, enhancing your skill gradually. And it's not about weakness or strength, it's about working on the skill. It's about studying, not about, you know, some motivational shit. It's about just simple, gradual, sometimes even dual practicing and studying, like playing the piano. You want to play the piano? This is a skill. You sit and you learn it until you develop it to the desirable level, and that's the most adequate and realistic approach. But there is a phrase like "it's always better to play to your strength." I mean, it's more about competition or struggling or even fighting about something. I mean, Play to your strength. Do the things that you can do the best in a situation where you need to compete, for example. Absolutely logical. Why would you play to your weakest points? Because it makes you more, you know, more. Why to play to your disadvantages if it makes you more, uh how to say it? I forget this word. This word means accessible to your opponent. 1 minute. It makes you more accessible or defenseless for your opponent if you play from your weakness. What's the point? What's the point of weakening yourself in a competition? No point. So that's why you need to play to your strong sides to make yourself more compatible, make yourself more uh, strengthened, 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 or not strong, but more stout, more strengthened. Yes, I'm not think I'm pronouncing this word correctly, but the idea I think is absolutely understandable what I'm talking about. In a competition, of course, it's absolutely logical decision to play to your strength. But if we're talking about developing, it's all about working on a skill on the subject. Yes. It's all about studying. It's not about weakness and strength. It's about the subject and about practicing and studying. Working with information, applying your skills to something. Yes. That is my answer. Okay. Okay. It has been 10 questions. I can't say it has been 10 questions because it's a contradiction in the grammar. Okay, I've answered on 10 questions. Let's say I've answered on 10 questions from ChatGPT. I've been talking for 58 minutes. Very decent result, very stout result. I like it. And I think I can continue. I can continue working on my skills after this begin practice video, or it's already 10:23. Probably it would be much more wiser just simply go to rest in order to wake up earlier than today and start day in a more productive manner, in a more efficient manner. And I think yes, I'm going to have a rest. And at the same time listening to Harry Potter book. So if someone has been watching it, thank you for watching and see you in the next Speak and Practice video. Goodbye for goodbye for today. See you. I'm not sure that tomorrow, but on this week for sure. Have a good rest.